Hey everyone, it's Dr. Romney. Welcome back to this YouTube channel on narcissism and narcissistic relationships, and a little bit more gray rocking because we can never get enough. I was reflecting on, we think of gray rocking as sort of like, be boring, don't respond, don't say anything. And it's almost like that's sort of, even though gray rocking is a very, almost if you will, quiet process, you're not engaging anymore. Those are sort of the things you do to gray rock. But there are things you don't do in a gray rock, and it's beyond just not talking. I recently did a video too on this idea of gray rock is not reacting. But here's another thing that gray rocking is that we often forget. And that is that gray rocking is not appeasing anymore. The dynamic of active appeasing in a narcissistic relationship is such a classical dynamic in these relationships. Appeasing now, there's an element of appeasing that may be reflective, part of a sympathetic nervous system response called fawning, where you're just sort of trying to sort of stay safe, and you're not even actively aware that you're appeasing, but it's what allows you to maintain the attachment to the narcissistic person and also sort of potentially avoid their rage. So let's take that piece out of it and even think more about the sort of the non-sympathetic, non-fawning kind of appeasing, but really stick with good old-fashioned appeasing, where you're actively saying like, no, it's going to be fine. Or no, I'll take care of that. No, I got it. No, you were right. You heard it right in the first place. No, I was the one who got it wrong. Like, I'm always like, I got so many things going on. And the problem with appeasing is that there's lots of pieces to it, right? Appeasing involves reassuring the narcissistic person. Just as sort of like a little sideline to that, it's amazing how people who are so sort of obsessed with dominance, power, and control need to be appeased and told everything's going to be okay. Everything's going to be fine, right? That's very much a dynamic in the narcissistic relationship of the appease, right? So you're having to reassure them all the time. Do they ever offer you assurance? Never. In fact, they might even scare you in a narcissistic relationship where by saying oh no, this terrible thing, you better be careful, like this bad thing could happen, or like you better plan for this bad thing happening, and you're like, oh my gosh, a little bit of reassurance would have been so helpful right now. But no narcissistic person is ever going to offer you that. They're always going to keep you destabilized in these relationships by not reassuring you. Okay, so you're reassuring them all the time. Another part of appeasing is continuing to fluff them up and give them supply. No, you're so great. No, it's going to be fine. How could they not see that you're the best salesperson? You're amazing. You're so smart. You're so this, you're so that. So part of the appeasing is giving them excessive supply. And again, that might fall also under that larger piece of reassurance. The appeasing, though, unfortunately, may also be putting yourself down. That you appease them by saying, oh, I'm the one always making a mess of everything. What a dummy I am. Like, you were so right. I was so wrong. Like, it's all going to be fine because I'm going to fix it. So it's where you're saying, well, I'm the problem. You're not. You're great. So you're getting not only that sort of fluffing piece of it, but you're also getting that other part of it, which is you're reassuring them. But they get a third bonus from this, which is you're putting yourself down. I screwed this up. This isn't your fault. I'm going to fully take care of this. I'm going to be the one who makes it right. So you're appeasing them. All of these appeasement strategies largely allow the narcissistic person either to stay regulated, and that regulation for them means that they either stay in power, that they don't have to deal with shameful emotions like anxiety, all of that. So that's the appeasing approach. Now, the problem with the appeasing in a narcissistic relationship is it's never enough, and you never get to stop doing it. Right? So narcissistic people who might come in like gangbusters, like they know everything and they're so smart and they've got it all figured out, they don't do well with uncertainty. Now, most of us don't do great with uncertainty, but we kind of accept that this is life. We don't always get to know how the movie ends. Like, we're just going to have to sort of tolerate that not knowing. But when a narcissistic person is enduring uncertainty, they're clanging around. Why aren't they telling me right away? That doctor could work on Sunday. I shouldn't have to wait. How come I'm so important? I can't believe I have to wait for my car. So there's a lot of that anger about not being able to stay in this place of uncertainty. So a lot of the appeasing people have to do in any kind of narcissistic relationship is to help the narcissistic person manage all of that uncertainty that they find so intolerable. Now, you in that relationship, though, are also struggling with uncertainty. Once again, though, nobody is reassuring you. So, one thing to keep in mind of what gray rocking can be. Gray rocking can be when you stop exhausting yourself by always appeasing them. So the gray rocking at its core is disengaging. As long as you're appeasing in this relationship, you're serving a mighty big function for them, which is you are basically a human pacifier. You are soothing them, you are comforting them, it's all going to be okay, you're so great, everyone knows you're great, everything's going to be fine, everything's going to be okay. That's what you're doing all the time. So they don't need to stay in uncertainty and anything that brings up that sense of shame, that they're not special, that they're not wonderful, that they're not the exception. But you also now, it's a one-way street, all appeasement out, nothing coming back in. And in essence, what the appeasing is doing is it may be sort of a short-term strategy to avoid the anger and rage. Folks, I understand that narcissistic anger and narcissistic rage are a terrible thing to be in the presence of. It's uncomfortable, it's scary, it's tense. I get all of that. But if you appease too well, you may actually be stopping all of those angry reactions quite a bit. And what that can do then is it can subvert radical acceptance because you're actually not seeing this relationship clearly for what it is. And you're exhausting yourself by constantly being this sort of appeasing factory. And that doesn't even account for the kind of psychic toll that the fawning, that sympathetic nervous system appeasing might be doing in addition to this kind of active appeasing. So the gray rocking strategy would be don't appease. So when they're like, I can't believe no one's calling me, I can't believe I have to wait, I can't believe this, I can't believe my boss this, I can't believe work that, I can't believe blah, 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 blah. And you just sit there and you might nod your head, but you don't come in as sort of the appeasement general store with all kinds of options. Now, initially, as we always know, whenever you start gray rocking with a narcissistic person, you're going to have initially an uptick, right? Where they're going to be like, what the hell's wrong with you? What are you just sitting there like a lump? Like, I'm having a hard time and you're not even going to help me? You're not even offering to, gosh, like, what is wrong with you? Because you're just like a lump of a person. You're going to have to ride that wave out. But then, over time, when gray rocking works, assuming this person doesn't escalate to a dangerous place, you need to know that about your relationship. But then they're going to start realizing that the appeasement story is closed. And it ain't coming from you. And it either might mean that they take their tantrums elsewhere, or I don't know what's going to happen to them, because they sure as hell aren't going to stop having them. But the one thing that's not happening is that you're not putting yourself in that human pacifier role. It takes a minute, though, and you've got to tolerate a lot of ramping up before you get to the other side. It does stop to help you think about, too, what your function has been in this relationship. Like I said, I say human pacifier again and again because that is what often happens to people in these relationships. But when you can think about gray rocking in these different ways, and again, I'm not saying gray rocking is the strategy to beat all, but sometimes that sort of abrupt gray rocking of yes, no, I don't know, which can seem a bit antagonistic to the outside. Some of these other gray rocking strategies, like I said, we've talked about no longer reacting, but also the gray rocking strategy of no longer appeasing, can actually help you get some of your energy and strength back. Stop engaging in a futile exercise. Recognize the anger, as scary as it is just anger, and it's about them and their dysregulation, and it has nothing to do with you. You're just the unfortunate one who is in their presence. And then you might even get to a point where they recognize that you're the pacifier that got lost, and they might have to find another way to deal with this, whatever that looks like, just as long as it's not you. So thinking about gray rocking in different ways rather than just the old school being as dull as a gray rock, but perhaps finding ways to no longer get into some of the patterns, like reacting, like appeasing, can also help you sort of find strategies to disengage from this relationship in a variety of ways that help you retain sort of your level of energy and focus. I hope that's helpful. None of this is easy, and this may work for some of you, but not all. But if you think it's a fit for you and you find yourself to be a constant reassurer in the narcissistic relationship, At first, it'll feel funny. I tried this technique recently with someone narcissistic, and they were yammering on about something and wanted me to reassure, and I didn't respond. I actually got up and went and did something else. They didn't say anything. I think that either they thought I didn't hear them, but whatever it was, it's not like they came after me. They just didn't get reassured. I hope that's helpful.